Adolescence is an extremely important show that talks about the manosphere and its effect on the youth, especially young boys. And it's just a cautionary tale out there and a message for everyone, especially parents, to watch what their kids are consuming on social media. However, I wish they would have actually delved into that topic more. They definitely decided to highlight and focus more on the emotional element of, the family dynamic of what it would be like if one of your kids fell into that pipeline. And I get that, emotion is what drives storytelling. And this was an extremely emotional show. And I know it's not a documentary, but it really did only graze the surface of the manosphere and alt-right pipeline and, toxic masculinity, all that. It was very, very surface level. And I'm going to explain why for the show itself, I felt like that was a problem. And it's because the way the show frames what the actual villain and antagonist of this story is it's not the kid that, murdered the girl. The actual villain of the show is social media. It's the manosphere, right? And the idea is that the kid is a symptom of the sickness, and the sickness is the manosphere. And so it's the idea that that's the real problem that children are falling prey to. And so since that is the core of the show, I feel like there needed to be more about that. Like just how we had the whole episode, I believe it was episode 3, where it explored the mind of the kid, like in that therapy session, which was an amazing episode. There needed to be more exploration of the manosphere itself, just to provide context. And this really is like a PSA for parents, right? And I think if it explored more of the manosphere, the parents that are watching the show would have a better idea of what to actually look out for. And it's like, if you do know what it is, you do pick up all the subtle nods to it throughout the show. But I feel like for people that are ignorant of what it actually is, this doesn't really inform them. So this is me informing you. If you like this show, definitely go look up more about it if you don't know. Because as the show said, like, this is, a worst case scenario type situation here, this storyline. But it's real, y'all. Like, it is real. This is a cautionary tale. I'm not saying the situation in the show is real. I don't think it's based on a true story. I'm just saying the idea of this is real. The manosphere is real. I feel like the most we learn about it is through this scene right here, this father and son dynamic, where the son is trying to explain everything to his dad because he feels like he's just not getting it. He's not understanding how it's being communicated online and what's going on. But they truly didn't really get into it. Like, they mentioned red pill and they mentioned all of that, but people don't. After watching this, you're not really sure like what red pilling and all that actually is still. And also on top of that, the show falls victim to an idea they themselves put in the dialogue when it comes to how they show women and girls in this show.
Do you know what I don't like about all this?
Go on.
Right, the perpetrator always gets the front line. A man raped a woman. We followed Jamie's brain around this entire case. Right?
Yeah.
Katie isn't important, Jamie is. Everyone will remember Jamie, no one will remember her. That's what annoys me. That's what gets to me.
I think you're wrong. I think we're here for Katie. We're here for her parents. We're here to get answers. It's our job to understand why.
And I feel like the show does just that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't, like, the show is not focused around the girl at all. And even the other women and girl characters in this show aren't really fleshed out. They're not really explored. No time is spent with them, anything like that, right? And I feel like in this exploration of toxic masculinity and how it can lead to something like this, we don't see how it affects the girls and the women in this show. We don't see the day-to-day interactions. I mean, like, we see right here, she just offers her opinion on how she's feeling. He goes, I think you're wrong, and then asserts his voice over her. Like, that's a masculine thing to do, a toxic masculinity thing to do. And so my thing is, like, is the show trying to prove a point? Like, with what I talked about, like, in that moment, he kind of just did that not listening, talking over aspect. Did they do that on purpose? Or is the show falling victim to something they're preaching should be different? Kind of interesting. That's a good debate. But I think the only other girl that we see in here is the best friend of the girl that got killed. And her story was around the grief of losing her friend. But we don't see, like, on the day-to-day what this manosphere and all the kids being influenced by it, how it affects her on a, like an everyday level, like with her interactions with people in the school and all that kind of stuff. Just things like that. I feel like they kind of missed out on that. And I know it's only 4 episodes, but you don't need to spend a ton of time to see those type of effects. It could be one line of dialogue, it could be one scene, you know, and that was just kind of missing. We don't see with the kid's sister. She says at the end that she gets bullied every day at school, but they don't like show that, right? And she's getting bullied due to her brother, not necessarily because of the manosphere itself and the effects that it has. And like I'm saying, the reason why I think that's important, that it needs to be in the show, is because that's what they're framing as the ultimate villain here. And we just don't really see the actual effects of it outside of what it did to the main kid. However, I will say this scene where it was the therapy, and you are seeing the effects of how the manosphere is making this kid think. You see how the therapist asks him if he has any friends that are girls, if his dad has any friends that are girls. It's insinuated, and you kind of see how even at this age, from everything he's learning online, is that women are there for pleasure, sexual objects, like not actual humans to have relationships with, right? And so that's there in this episode. I will say that for sure. I guess what I feel like was missing is that the whole problem of the social media is very isolated in this kid alone. And in reality, like, it's not just isolated in one child, right? Like, it has a wide effect in day-to-day interactions, on thought processes, all that. And I feel like they didn't really show that. They just explored it just through this kid. And once again, they did a great job at doing that. It's just that this felt very, I guess it's a very introductory type show into this. I guess as I'm making this video, I just came to a new conclusion rather than the one that I was thinking before I came into this video. I guess it's that I just want to urge people to look into it further. I think this did a great job, like I said, introducing the concept. I just hope people look into it further than what the show offers, because I do think this is a must watch, especially if you're a parent of boys, right? And yeah, just go do that further research, because it's truly something that we're all dealing with and are going to have to deal with, especially when it comes to the youth. And so it's going to take effort, it's going to take work to undo all of that essentially brainwashing that's being done. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Great show though. Till next time, I'll see y'all.